Power off.
Yo, what's popping, the people? We got some shit to talk about today, man, with the chosen. Shout out to Lars. Shout out to the forum family who kind of gave me this topic to go off, because me and Lars was speaking about this topic beforehand, and I've been speaking about it more recently as well, which you know. So I thought, you know what, this is a good topic to go into. I've spoke about it before in terms of like kind of under the heading of the days of revelation, or are we in the days of Noah and stuff? But that's more in a broad aspect of the days of revelation and the days of Noah. I want to speak about specifically here the chosen ones, and what I mean when I keep telling people, okay, the chosen are those who chose themselves. So to bring a bit of clarity, a bit more clarity to that topic and relate it to now what's going on with CERN and everything. So as I said, shout out to Lars and the forum. Shout out to everyone who's tuned in. Let's just jump straight into this discussion. Okay, so the last time we were speaking about quantum stuff, we've been speaking a lot about the Anunnakis and stuff like that. Let me just say very quickly, Hupaneteru menunu shayu kawunda lulbihu. He, she, the mother, father, creator consciousness, or the one mind, who nothing exists except by way of the all. Bakulum, the one mind. Yeah, I want to do a different prayer today, just to have a different prayer. Whether you want to say the word prayer or reverence, I want to do a different one. This is kind of like, this is the supplication of the one for of the volunteers, the helpers of the Most High, yeah? So I'm going to do it in Nuwabic, and then I will translate it into the English for you. Bakulum. Abdokul tafulat wa bazun bi bamul el kulum. Taful shil el ansurat. Ya anli wahed el alyun. Alazi izu rab shilkul el alumat. Na bamul nagbelwa el wajub ent ragatita aladna. Lia nazuf el wasuk. Bamul bi el garub. Wahuzi gerkradu jahulat. Ya Rabbi na nedjurk. Lia sawun yaduk ahlana. Lia ragub el kayutat. Shil el salukat. Shil hayuhat na. Rabna wa eza bamul katu. Gasu, Gashu, Ahrud ent Barukahatuk, Wagafunes Allana, ent Afa el Fakut Wahedek Tek Teikelu, Bauf na Hag Tabu Adat, Shil el Nabuyat, Wafi Isumuk, Wadawum Allah Nashudun Likul. So what I said is, O Heavenly One, the Most High Anu, who is the sustainer of all the worlds, we do accept the duty you have lain on us to clean up the filth made by the West and its non-submitting fools. O our sustainer, we beseech you to keep your hand over us, to control the strings of the courses of our lives, our sustainer, and if we do disagreeableness, please show divine forgiveness and blessings on us, for you are the only one that can raise us true followers of the news bearers. And in thy name we carry on, Amun-Ra. Okay, so yeah, we want to talk about the chosen ones. First, as always, I'm going to give you a context so we can have a better context to put these chosen ones into, rather than just to blast off and speak straight into who and what the chosen ones are. I want to give you a little bit of a background, so bear with me, okay? First, I want to make people aware of the fact that most of the Holy Scriptures, when you're dealing with the Tanakh or the Torah and the Bible and the Quran, they base the 144,000 not only around this Jesus character that they've created in mythologized in their scriptures, but also around figures that are explained in the same kind of mystical light as it's not just Jesus. They have another one figure who's like Jesus, mentioned in the Revelation and the Bible and the Quran. As in the Quran, he's called El Muklis. In the Bible, he's called Melchizedek. Now, this character who is in the same, well, Jesus is supposed to be in the order of Melchizedek. So this other character, this Jesus Messiah type character that's running throughout the Bible and also pops up in the Quran, is actually the one who Jesus is a member of his order. Today, we have that consciousness that is incarnated into our reality to discern a certain level of information to us. Al-Mukhlis as a word, Mukhlis means the purified one, because the information that this being is supposed to come with in the end times as the Mukhlis, or the axis, the purified one, is going to be so mind-blowing, most people won't be able to take that knowledge. We've already discerned who that character is in the form of Dr. Malachi York. There's also another character who was mentioned before the Mukhlis, or before this Melchizedek character, and his name was the Mahdi. And we know that in a historical sense, if we go into the history of the Sudan, in 1845, a geezer popped up whose name was Muhammad Ahmad al-Hadi al-Mahdi. And he proposed to be the long-awaited Mahdi that was prophesied in Islamic literature. So the Mahdi is more in Islamic doctrine, where they say, okay, before the coming of the Christ or Isa or Jesus, there's going to be one who's called the Mahdi, and it means the one who guides people back to the correct way of thinking, the correct way of reasoning. If you go into the history of the Sudan, you'll find the person, Muhammad Ahmad ibn Hadi al-Mahdi, who claims that he's the 19th descendant from the real Prophet Mustafa Muhammad al-Amin, who lived from 570 to 632 AD, who was an Ethiopian Arab, like how Yemenis look today. He wasn't that type of Arab that we see running around Arabia today, which is more kind of like Seljuk, Turkish kind of Arabs. This Prophet Mustafa Muhammad al-Amin, 570 to 632 AD, he was of the Ethiopian Arabs who was in the region of Ethiopia and Yemen going into Arabia. That's why when the beef kicked off in Muhammad's time, the first place he ran back, it was back home, which is into Ethiopia and the Sudan. Do you understand what I'm saying? And they admit that in their Islamic tradition, even though they don't go as far as saying, okay, well, he was black and it was his first home. They don't tell you he ran to Turkey or he ran to India. When he needed refuge and seek help from someone else, he turned to Ethiopia. And our tradition tells us that his grandmothers were still living there, as he came from Hagar and Abraham, who was who was Nile Valley culture or Nile Valley people. Okay, so first you have the Mahdi, 1845 to 1885. The Hadith for the Muslims says he will live 40 years. 1845 to 1885 is 40 years. The British came there and tried to attack the Sudan when they was building their Suez Canal and all of that type of stuff. And the Mahdi united all the warring Muslim factions, because they weren't all one. They were warring against each other, these different schools of thought in the Islamic theology. The Mahdi and them were kind of more like Sufis, mystics, Kalawatiya order. But he had managed to unite all these warring tribes of Arabs against the British and kick the British ass. Out of the Mahdi, the same family, you get who's called the Mujaddid, or who I told you before is Al-Mukhlis, which means the axis, the guide. He was born 100 years after, 1945, okay, in the Sudan, on Durman. As I said, today we call him Dr. York. He is the Mahdi's great-great-grandson. So we're dealing with the same family. When Dr. York now comes to America, as it says in the Revelation, the sun will rise in the west as it rises in the east. The sun of righteousness. It's not talking about the physical sun. It's talking about a being who's going to come and be born like the Son of Man. In other parts of the Bible, they call him the Son of Man because he's going to be born as a man. He's not going to be an Anunnaki who floats out the sky. He's going to incarnate on earth as a human being and has done so many times before. This is the 12th time he's done it. Do you understand? And he's going to be given a period of 30 years to clean us up with the information from 1970 to 2000. After that 30-year period, the Muzungu will come and take him away, which has happened. And then from the year 2000 to the year 2030, we'll be on ourselves. We'll have to use the information that he gave us from 1970 to 2000 to make ourselves to the other side get ourselves to the other side of 2030. Okay? In the Matrix, they have a scene where Neo is aboard, what's it called? The Nebuchadnezzar, the ship that they go to, and they go to their place. Is it called Zion or whatever, yeah? And it shows you a whole group of children in the Matrix film. This is the Matrix 1 is the best example of it. There's a group of children and they've all got special powers. They all like supernatural children till one of them shows Neo how to bend a spoon with his mind. Do you guys remember that? So them showing you these children is them showing you the 144,000. Because what I want people to understand is this: it's not us adults who are the 144,000. It's our children who are the 144,000. Why do I say that? A lot of people say, no, I'm going to get on, be one of the 144,000. I'm going to get on the shams and stuff like that. We ain't getting on there. Why are we not getting on there? Because most of us are not virgins. We're not pure no more. Most of us use alcohol. We drink alcohol. Most of us smoke weed. I smoke weed. Yeah. Most of us have got so much GMO products inside of us from having these bad diets and all of this kind of stuff. Some of us got nano in us, all types of stuff. The 144,000 are going to be children because they're going to be used to kickstart another civilization on another planet. Now, I'm not saying there's not going to be other beings other than the 144,000 that are helping in this thing. Don't think that it's just 144,000 and everyone in the world, everybody else in the world is gone to shit. That's not what I'm saying here. There will be people who are not in the 144,000 who will still be here on Earth fighting this demiurge, and some of them will make it to the other side of 2030, even though they are going to have to go through a hell to get there, because it's going to be like a hell on Earth. But it's not just the 144,000. The 144,000 is our children who we have to get onto the shams. That's our job as parents. They'll only be gone for a day. When they come back, they're super equipped with all 9 senses. They are going to remove every evil off of the face of the earth. They are going to bring in 1,000 years of peace. But before we get there, you must find yourself and find a path so you can get your children onto them shams. Because if you don't fix yourself, they probably not going to make it. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not going to be no big ass full grown man that want to drink beer and all of our vices that we have as adults now. If we was to go to heaven, like let's say God came down and saved the world right now, I've said it before, and took us all to heaven, this mystical heaven where everything's perfect. Give it a couple days and heaven ain't perfect no more, because we ain't perfect. We ain't fixed the vices inside of ourselves. We ain't done all the work we need to do inside of ourselves to be worthy of going to a place that's blissful, because we're not blissful beings yet. You understand what I'm saying? So they're going to be taking children, pure children. And if you watch the alien movies and keep up with Hollywood, they've been showing you this for a minute. I think it was, what's the one with Nicolas Cage? Is it the day that the world stood still, or the Knowing, or one of them, where at the end they take the youths and they put them on a new planet, that they've created this new planet to kickstart a new world and a new civilization. The 144 is going there. There will be people here still on Earth. You understand what I'm saying? But what I'm saying, the 144,000, after they remove this evil from this planet, they will be used to kickstart another planet. Do you understand what I'm saying? And their families, meaning the me and you, who prepared them and put them in the position to make the sham, we will become the new governors on Earth. Our families, 144,000 families, will become the new governors on Earth. And we will become a type 2 civilization again, meaning we'll become interplanetary. We won't have a war-based economy no more. We'll have a space-based economy. There'll be work for everybody, because the whole planet will be geared towards, okay, we can travel between worlds and stuff. There'll be tourism. There'll be all types of stuff. Do you understand what I'm saying? The 144,000 are children. And I wanted to also link it to the number 1 plus 4 plus 4 equals 9. So you're back to sacred number 9, because after that, you only got 0, 0, 0. So 1 plus 4 plus 4 is 9. So you're dealing with the sacred science of 9 and the 9 Eva. And also I mentioned in a previous live how light also has a harmonic speed. We measure light as 186,272 feet per second, okay? That's in feet per second, the miles it travels. When we're dealing with the arc of the dome, the arc of the planet, that the dome that's covering is the firmament, then they track light different than using miles per second. They use what's called minutes of arc per second. And light travels at 144,000 minutes of arc per second. Do you understand? And this is, you can research this yourself. There's a geezer, scientist, whatever you want to call him, named Bruce Caffey. And he came up with this first to say that, yo, light travels 144,000 minutes of arc per second, yeah? And if you envision it as a circle and you split that circle into 360 degrees, or you envision the 360 degrees of a circle, yeah, the angular velocity of light is also 144 degrees, yeah? And somehow, don't ask me how, that equals 6.66 revolutions of the Earth. So that's 6 spins nearly 7 spins of the earth. I don't know how they compute it to that, but if you go and study that Bruce Caffey, his whole proposal on this 144,000 minutes of arc per second, maybe you'll be able to make an even better connection than me. I had to do this live, so I couldn't even spend time just trying to figure out how that relates to 6.66 revolutions of the earth. But that's interesting because that's your same 666, or the mark of the beast. And like I was explaining to Chanel, it's a mirror you have to use to look at this 666 thing, because it's like what's good for us is not good for the evil ones, and what's good for the evil ones is not good for us. So therefore, through our mirror, he's the beast. You understand? That's the beast, mark of the beast, 666, microchipping, devil, Satanism, and all that shit. On the flip side of the mirror, when he's looking at you, you're the beast, because you got 6 protons, six neutrons, and six protons, six electrons, and 6 neutrons. That's your 666. That's what makes up the molecule of carbon, or melanate carbonated melanin. So he sees you as the beast, just the same way as you see him as the beast, through the looking glass, through the mirror. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's interesting that this showdown with the 144,000 also links into the 144,000 minutes of arc per second. That's crazy. Do you understand? And then it also ties into the 6 revolutions of the earth, however it does. Yeah. Also in Matthew 24:7, how it was talking about, I was talking about how when the sun rises in the west, and it's talking about the coming of a being, a man, an Anunnaki, or an incarnation, or what in Islam you would call a Ilamutadasida. That means the incarnated divinity walking around as a human being. They even have that theology in Islam. So Dr. York is one of them beings, if you wonder how the hell he know what he know. Do you understand? But if you read Matthew 24:27, it speaks about this coming of Malachi. It's not speaking about no Jesus. It's speaking about a coming of a certain man who is going to, and a certain man, and it's going to be a certain being, and he's going to be born as a man. They calling him the Son of Man instead of the Son of a God. He's going to be born as a man with all the physical needs that we need as human beings. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you can also back that up by reading Malachi 4:2 in the Old Testament. Okay, so Matthew 24:27 is speaking about the coming of Malachi, and that links to the passage. I should have wrote down the passage, which speaks about the sun rising in the west. You understand? The two, Matthew 24:7 and the other one speaking about the sun rising in the west, is talking about the same being. While we're on the subject of light, remember I'm going to lead to this chosen one stuff. But while we're on the subject of light and 144,000 minutes of arc per second and all that stuff, it's interesting I should note that when you're speaking about deity, allness, yeah, deity, there's 4 elements in deity. The first is air, the second is fire, the third is earth, yeah, the fourth is water, and then also we know there's a 5th element, which is the ether. But the 4 elements, if we deal with them, is the 4 elements of the deity. And so the first element is Ilul, which means these are the beings that don't manifest physical bodies. They're the cosmic forces and intelligences, or entities, if you like, that run this physical realm, or this physical matrix illusion. Yeah, when they densify, when they stop vibrating so fast and they slow down in density, that becomes what we're calling an Etherian or an Anunnaki, a being in a body. So from supreme to supreme being, now you're a being in a body. You're not just a consciousness or cosmic force. You've manifested into matter, into physical growth matter. Now we're talking Anu and them. We're talking Anunnakis, or if you want to use the word Elohim, or you want to use the word Necherus or Thunderbirds or Orishas. These are physical beings now, yeah? And their element is fire. Do you understand what I'm saying? Their element is fire at their highest vibration. When they just turn in from the mind, all mindness, they densify from this ether or air, yeah, as fire beings. So their element is fire, where you get a lot of association with the sun and sun gods and stuff. Yeah, when that breaks down and that lowers a bit more, that fire being now densifies as earth. So it becomes more densified, more flesh and blood. So now you have lower levels of Anunnaki. When it densifies even lower than that, yeah, it turns into water. And then you have a water being, which you're calling reptilian or nomos. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they're the 4 elements. You have air, which you call iluls. That's the divine consciousness, not the all. The all is now creating these unmanifested, invisible cosmic forces that are actually beings. They're actually entities. They actually you can feel their presence. They can interact with you and stuff. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're the highest gods. And then when them gods densify from the air element, it becomes fire. And then you have what's called Neteru or Anunnaki and stuff. Yeah, and then when that slows down, that vibration, that now becomes physical dense earth. Now you have the lower forms of Anunnaki, like the ones who came to earth, physical dense beings that look just like me and you. Yeah, and then when you go lower to the lower vibration, you now have what's reptilian or what's nomos. You understand what I'm saying? Those are the four elements of the Godhead. And why I'm stressing this to you is because when we first appear as beings, we appear as pure light. So these high Neteru or high beings, that it's not like us, where you can see physical features and nose, mouth, and all of that. It's just a being of pure light. So pure light being, they're vibrating on like ninth density and eighth density. Then when you come down to seventh and sixth density, now you're turning from that light being, you're turning into what we're calling Anunnaki, where it's now densified into flesh and blood. You can see the features, the hair, the nose, the eyes. It's like a human being. That's functioning from the seventh density or dimension, coming down to the fourth dimension. When you come down to the fourth dimension in the mental plane, now you're coming into this physical matrix, into this physical reality, or the realm of man. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's just different densities that start with a fast vibration, and the slower it gets, it densifies as different beings. It's different stages. It's on the evolution of the. Remember, only all exist, yeah. So yeah, what I wanted to say, they are pure light beings. So this links into the word angels. They give you in religion this word angels. When they're telling you about angels, they're only telling you about angles of light. The angles of light that are good are called angels. The angles of light that are bad are called demons. Do you understand? The word angel is the same word as the word angle. You can even make a mistake while writing the two words and write one for the other, because phonetically it's the same word. So all angels, everything in this realm, this fence, me, this chair I'm sitting on, it's all light. It's all light that's at faster or slower vibration, so it seems like it's solid because you're light, and you were at lower vibration than this solid wall. So this wall appears solid to you, but all of us in this realm is light. Do you understand? So angels and angles is the same word. And the secrets to all of this realm is in light, the study of light harmonics. You understand? All information is light. Even the very thoughts that run through your head and my head, so I can give you this live and speak what I'm speaking. There's forms of light, waves, beams of light going through my head on every thought that I've said to give you every word that I've said. It's all light going on inside your head. And that is why the ancestor says to you, well, we revere the sun, because we understand that the sun is the source of all light in this realm. The electromagnetic spectrum is the source of light. The electromagnetic spectrum, we already discerned, only makes up 10% of reality. And from that 10%, we can only discern 0.005% of it. So we can't even discern what's really in this universe. Most of it is unknown to us, and will remain unknown to us if we remain in this state. Okay? But why I'm saying this is because I want you to focus on the fact that all your thoughts, all information is light, and it comes from the electromagnetic spectrum, of which the sun is the source of it in this realm. You understand? And the first forms of light, or light in its purest esoteric form, is black, what you call the black light. And you have gamma rays, X-rays, and what's the other one? And ultraviolet rays. Gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet rays. Or you have Atum, and Amun, as our ancestors, scientists recorded it. Do you understand what I'm saying? All light in this realm comes from the black light. And when you hear science talking about CWMB, the cosmic microwave background, they're really talking about the black light from which all other light comes. All information, all thought is light, linking back to the sun and back to the electromagnetic spectrum. Mine in your souls and our spark comes from the sun, or from this electromagnetic spectrum, yeah? And this links into our other discussion that we've had about the Schumann pulse, which is the pulse of this planet Gaia, which is set at 7.83 hertz as a default. 7.83 hertz, and through this electromagnetic spectrum, or this grid, this Schumann pulse on Earth, from the surface of the Earth, it rises up 60 kilometers in the sky, and envelopes the entire realm. So within this 60 kilometers of electromagnetic activity that's enveloping the whole globe is how we communicate, is how light travels, is how sound travels, is how heat travels. It travels through this what's called this electromagnetic grid that surrounds the planet, and they call it the Schumann pulse. This is all linked into what I said about everything being light and the word angels and angles being the same thing. This pulse was set at 7.83 hertz. It was set low deliberately by Enlil and them when they wanted to dumb humanity down and rob us of certain powers and certain abilities that we have. You can confirm this in Genesis 3:22 if you vibrate high enough, and you'll realize that when God's saying, look, now the man's come like one of us, he's actually pissed. He don't want the man to be smart. This God is Enlil. He's pissed that, yo, somebody's made these humans too smart. Now this human's walking around like us. It knows all of this shit that it's not supposed to know. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they set the Schumann pulse of this planet lower to keep us locked into this 10%, this dumbed down frequency. The fail-safe for all that, when this galaxy was being made and every other world and galaxy is made with a photon belt. So at its beginning and at its end, all things must be reconciled. Like adjustments have to be made at the end of each cycle, where things, all evil has to be swept out. Everything that's against the natural order has to be reset and whacked out. That's what we're going through now on Earth, because with since 2020, we went into the photon belt, and it started causing a shift in the consciousness of people. Now we're in a cycle in our galactic or sun cycle, which is 25,920 years. Some people say 26,000 years. They round it off to 26,000. But really it's 25,920 years. That means the sun spends 2,160 years in every zodiacal house. We've got a black hole in the center of our galaxy. And our whole galaxy goes around a black hole in the center. And it takes 25,920 years to make a full cycle. And it goes through every house, Sagittarius, Leo, Aries. It spends 2,160 years in each house. If you times that by 12, that's 25,920 years, yeah? What I'm saying now, if you round it off to 26,000 years, at 2 points, yeah, you can say at 13,000 years, and then at the end, yeah, which is 25,920 years, we go through, or our planet or our solar system goes through what's called a photon belt. Now, what is a photon? A photon is a light particle that makes the physical and spiritual, it binds the physical and spiritual world together. A photon is smaller than the hydrogen atom. So it's not something that we can kind of like substantiate in the physical realm. But due to quantum sciences, we know, okay, that's a photon exists, and these are its properties, and it's a light particle. It's a particle that manifests as light and then manifests as waves. It goes back and forth between being a particle and being a wave, part of the waveform energy, and then manifesting into matter. So this is part of the magic that allows matter to be weaved out of energy. Energy can be turned into matter, DNA, and DNA can be turned back into energy, like back and forth. So these photon particles are to do with that, how energy can become matter and matter can become energy. And they go in between both spiritual and physical, meaning they go beyond the atom into the quantum world, and they come on this side. This is the objective side of reality, and they also go back to the subjective side of reality. You understand what I'm saying? So a photon is a light particle. That means when we go through the photon belt, it means your cells and your atoms and your molecules now can hold a lot more information in each of them than they could before we was passing through the photon belt. So when you pass through the photon belt, you'll get a shift in consciousness, or what you call awakening, a consciousness awakening. It's inevitable. You can't like remedy it. It has to happen. It's a fail-safe so that every world, in the end, when people come and start playing about with something, it's like a reset button where it resets shit and puts it back in the natural order. So we're going through a photon belt right now. And before man can reach any other stage of evolution, every evil first has to be exposed and removed from the planet. That's how you know, okay, we're at a different jump of evolution now. We got all these evil beings on the planet. We got reptilians, we got greys, and even without them, we got the most disgusting humans as presidents, prime ministers, business owners. The most horrible ones of us are all in the positions of power. And a small group of these horrible humans is controlling the majority, like what happened in Atlantis. Atlantis started nice with all the how you hear everything about Atlantis, but what people don't tell you is Atlantis ended up like us now, where a small group of powerful people in Atlantis, yeah, kept the knowledge for themselves and put everyone else in slavery, and that shit washed out. And the same before that happened to Lemuria, and we're going down the same trajectory now, because all of us here, well, most of us, we was around in Atlantis. We was somebody else. Do you understand? And before that, we was around in Lemuria. We was somebody else. And before that, we was around in Hyperborea. We was somebody else. And all these are different previous ages of man. And now what I'm trying to say to you, your soul's on an evolution. Your soul's on a growth. The reason you are here now and are interested in certain things that you're interested in, and you can do the certain things that you do, is a result of a culmination of all of your past lives, all of the lives you've had before that's led up to this life right now. You've carried something from that life into this life, some good, some bad. Do you understand? But you can verify that for yourself. So going through the photon belt, which is the failsafe, it increases the amount of information our cells, our atoms, our molecules can hold. It's like in the Matrix when Agent Smith says, yo, upgrade. He feels like he's been upgraded because they boosted up his system. He can do more shit now. Same with Neo. Neo and them can upgrade. So they're showing you in this Matrix movie, hold on, humans, you can upgrade your DNA, you know. You can have cosmic downloads and all of that type of shit, which was started to happen in 2020. A lot of people were talking about awakening and downloads, and they feel clarified on certain things they weren't clear about before, but it's like a new eyes, like a new lens has come on a substantial amount of people on the earth. Enough for us to cause a shift, for there to be like, yo, this is a problem. People have woke up. People have caught on that everything's a scam. Do you understand? So man will be functioning from higher planes of consciousness, because collectively, the collective mind is in the growth too. If you're dealing with the Hermetica, one of the laws is the law of growth. The law of growth is one of the principles, one of the Hermetic principles. Everything from universes to me, you, to collective, to individual, has to go through growth. So humanity, in its consciousness, is now functioning in a higher plane of consciousness. We more readily want to speak about aliens and Anunnaki and black holes and the end of the world and the falseness of religion, whereas before it's a bit taboo. People don't really want to talk about the esoteric stuff or you understand, the occult and Freemasons, Illuminati, where now it's more like people really want to get to the gist of this shit here, because they've kind of convinced themselves, this is for real. It resonates with me. It doesn't seem like it's just some kind of conspiracy theory. This is real. I can see it in play. Yeah, so we're in a higher plane of consciousness, a higher plane of thought. Yeah, and what it's making is what I call quantum thinkers. People who are now realizing, hold on, I'm not this body. I am. That's it. I am. I'm beyond this body. I'm not identifying with this personality, this avatar, this fractal. I identify with the I am. And so they become the adepts. They become the masters. They become the ones that, let me walk this path and see how far I can grow into this, because this is for real. Do you understand? They are more esoteric. They're dealing with the subjective, the substantial reality, rather than this objective, relative reality. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have quantum thinkers now who they will be able to think stuff into existence. They will literally start using this mental art and mental transmutation and changing their whole world around them. Whether it's a new house, whether it's a new job, whether it's manifesting a business, whether it's manifesting love, whether it's manifesting success or money, or what, they'll start to see, hold on, all is mind. The universe is mental, held in the mind of the all, the great axiom, the first hermetic principle, mentalism. So therefore, if the universe is mental, then mind must have the greatest effect on this whole shit. My mind, not money or a job or this car or that car or beliefs or religion or science no, your mind. If you can learn the mental art, then you got the keys to this realm. If you can incorporate that, what I'm saying to you, put it into practice so it becomes yours. It's not just an idea no more. That separates the difference between the chosen ones. I'm going to get to it. Yeah? So thought, you got quantum thinkers who can use their mind to think things into existence. They don't even have to speak, some people. These are quantum thinkers. When people say, "Oh, speak it into existence," some people don't have to speak. They thoughts, they using their thoughts. They in silence. You might not hear shit. And they creating more than the majority of people here. They shifting their paradigms and shit. They change it because they realize, bastard, this is the ultimate power. It's the only power I need to figure this shit out. They trying to make you look at everything else outside of you, outside of your mind. You don't get it. The first mentalism, the first law in the Hermetica, yeah, all Barkalum is mind. Yeah, the universe, this whole shit, yeah, is mental, inside, held in the mind of the all. You understand what I'm saying? So you have quantum thinkers, you have quantum speakers. Like we're saying, people who speak things, they're using the quantum grammar to speak stuff into existence. Yeah, we have sound benders like myself who can hear sound and communicate with sound and use sound like people use guns or use weapons or use a spade. You can use it as a tool. We've got all kind of powers that are just becoming active now that if you don't realize it, you won't be able to make the full use of it. Because a lot of us like to say, yeah, I am psychic. Yeah, like there's no work to do. I am psychic. I have got powers. Okay, yeah, we've got powers. But what do you do with it? Are you developing these powers? Like there's people who you went to school with and you said, yo, he'll be a wicked footballer. But he never took it serious. He never developed that shit. And you say to yourself, bastard, if he would have took it serious, he would have been sick. He'd have been better than these man. But he never took it serious. And then you got other people who took that shit serious. They molded their shit. They stuck on this and they walked that path until they ended up successful. Yo, this guy's a footballer. It's the same when you're talking about people and esoteric people. Esoteric people will never do that. They are not going to walk down the path and look at the subjective side of reality and learn to master the powers that they already have, but learn to craft them and mold them and master them to a point where you can use them to their fullest potential. You can use them to effect. So you can use them as you're a causation now in this realm. You're not an effect. Like most people are an effect. But when you reach that stage now, you're not an effect no more. You are actually a causation and you're working with the laws. Yeah, you are a part of the laws. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, and these are the people that realize when you say I am is a jewel. It's dual mind. Your mind is two minds. It's not one mind. It's two. That's why they show you have your left lobe and your right lobe. When you say the I, yeah, this is the law of gender. The I is not the same as the me. The I and the me is totally different. And I'm going to show you how. The I is masculine. The I is that aspect of God, the will, that imposes its will on the me. The me is the feminine side of your mind. That's the feminine aspect, yeah? So once the male imposes itself on Mother Nature, the feminine starts to create. Now that me is the part of your mind that creates all these mental images, these mental reasonings, this discussion. The I just watches and imposes its will. That's why you can sit back and watch your thoughts. The I projects itself onto the me. So that means because the I is projecting, that's masculine. It's got centripetal forces pushing outward, penetrating, yeah? The me receives that, takes it in. That's the feminine grounding force, yeah? The feminine takes that in, yo, let me create this, the ideal that the will is imposing on myself. So when you say I am, you're saying I, the masculine side of your mind, and am is the me, the feminine side of your mind. And they work together. Do you understand? And that's how the wheel of creation is. Like when people say God creates, God doesn't create. God is the will, is the imposing part. All the creation is done by feminine, is done by mother. That's why you call her mother nature, not father nature. That's the feminine aspect of God. Do you see what I'm saying? So those who start finding these laws within themselves, even like within your mental, will find the keys. Okay, so this is how telepathy works. I have to use the I, the masculine me, the masculine side of my mind, to, if I want to project a thought into somebody else, I have to appeal to their me, not to their I, because their I is pushing out. Their I is the masculine. That's not receptive. But the me is receptive. So if I'm trying to put thoughts in somebody's head, which is our science, or I'm trying to send somebody a message, I have to use my masculine side to push, yeah, and my feminine side to receive. So if I'm pushing a message to someone, I have to find a way into their me. I don't need to be speaking to their I. I need to be speaking to their me. All this is a science we used to have a mastery on. Right now, it might sound crazy what I'm saying to you. It might sound like bastard, that's deep, but it's really not deep. It's just science. Deep is just another word for shit that people don't understand. Yo, I don't understand it, so yo, that's deep. Nigga, it ain't deep. It's science that we forgot, that we're now being brought to remember. Do you see what I'm saying? So the best Hermeticists recognized this dual mind, and that was the key for their mental transmutation. Male energies are attracted to female energies, and female energies are attracted to male energies. Okay, we'll have a whole nother live on that stuff, because I could go into how electrons and atoms and molecules, even they have gender, and how electrons are feminine and they get attracted to protons, which are masculine, and the feminine molecules start dancing around. They look for a partner, a masculine particle, and they dance around him, and then the result is what you call an atom, and now we can build life. But the law of gender is in everything, even within man and woman, and in our mind and mental transmutation. Those are the keys. That's one of the most important laws in the Hermetica, in the Kybalion, the law of gender. Okay. And when we say gender, we're not talking about sex, as I've said on other lives. We're talking about gender comes from the Latin word which means to create. So on every plane of existence, you have gender. You have gender in everything. And now on our physical plane, animal plane, it manifests as sex. It's a part of the law of gender. But gender is not just sex, how we see sex as this thing down here, what we call in sex. You get me? That's just a material manifestation of the law of gender. One of its manifestations when you get down to this lowly planes. You get what I'm saying? But you'll find gender even on the highest plane, in the ninth dimension, eighth dimension, so you'll still find gender. All these laws operate on every plane. Yeah, so dual mind is very important when it comes to the Kundalini sciences. That Enki was teaching us this stuff before Enlil and them tried to dumb us down. Well, they did dumb us down. But Enki was teaching us all these sciences as his people, as his children, and giving it to us. And we had this in our earliest infancy as humans, because Enki was giving it to us. He was showing us how to turn matter into energy and energy into matter, and the quantum grammar of the cuneiform Anunnaki language and all types of shit like that. Okay? The earliest Hermeticists made you understand that alchemy is a mental art. It's got nothing to do with turning lead into gold. You can do that, yes, but it's based on the mental art of what I've just told you, certain things in regards to the dual mind and using certain different energies to push and to pull and stuff like that. That's part of the training that these Hermeticists, these alchemists went through to become who they were as the first legendary alchemists that had their ability to manipulate matter and had the ability to manipulate the elements of nature and people's mind and people and shit like that, yeah? Anyway, let's go further to link it to these chosen ones. Yeah, so remember that Pope Gregory, I'm sure it's 1582, you guys might have to confirm that for me. He changed the calendar from the Julian calendar into what's called the Gregorian calendar. The calendar's named after him, Pope Gregory, yeah? And they changed from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar. When they did that, it wasn't a smooth transition. They lost 8 years. They had to omit 8 years to line up the calendar how they wanted to make it work. So that means really we lost 8 years. So if they say we're in 2020, really it's 2012. It's not 2020 because we lost 8 years. Do you see what I'm saying? So they say 2020, we have to go 8 years back. We're only in 2012. You understand what I'm saying? So all that stuff that started in 2020 with the George Floyd and the pandemic and stuff and Skynet and all of that, I'm trying to show you that was what the Mayans was talking about, because everyone want to go on like the Mayans was wrong. Oh shit, nothing happened in 2012. They made a film and shit didn't happen. The world never ended. But I really feel like what the Mayans and the Olmecs and the Ethiopians, because all of them had the same calendar, which said, yo, right now we're in 2021. 2013, even though it's 2014, because 2020 is 2012, 2021 is 2013, and 2022 is 2014. Do you see what I'm saying here? We're 8 years off. You understand? Because when they changed that calendar, Pope Gregory in 1582, from the Julian calendar, some Roman thing, to a new Roman thing, a more let's say a more effective Roman thing for them to con people, which is now called Gregorian calendar after him, they lost 8 years. So what the Mayans was trying to say was 2020. They didn't really mean 2012. They was like, yo, we can't really see past 2020. Shit goes pear-shaped. It's the end of the world. There's anarchy everywhere. People are turned against the governments. There's rioting. There's fucking plagues. There's signs in the sky. There's holes in the sky. They was talking about 2020. Do you understand what I'm saying? And also, like I mentioned in a couple lies, it might even be the last one. They the Terminator was telling you about 2020, when it says in the Terminator movie, Skynet escaped and went worldwide in 2020. They give you the exact date. Yeah, I put it in my book. Yeah, Skynet went global on 2020. But I wanted to say to people, even with that, you got to understand that Enki, when he built us, he encoded a cosmic code into our DNA. That when we go through the photon belt, this cosmic code will start awakening certain different codes that are shut off in our junk DNA. The codes will start opening when we come across certain sounds, when we come across certain smells, when we come across certain vibrations, when we come across certain sights, certain colors, certain experiences. Some of us who have got that cosmic code programmed into us will start to awaken to who and what the fuck we really are. I feel that's happened to me since 2020. Like I've been just, awakening to, hold on, I'm an elder. I've been here before and I'm starting to know who the fuck I am. Do you understand? Many of you might be having the same type of feeling and the same kind of visions to yourself, yeah? But now that I've said all of that to you, I want to say, what does it mean to choose yourself? Because people ask me, okay, so when you say the chosen are those who chose themselves, can you explain that for me? When I say the chosen are those who chose themselves, given what I've just told you, yeah, the chosen are those who don't just talk. You understand? They don't even just study. See, a lot of us read and study and go on social media and post and talk, and that's nothing's wrong with that. But what I'm saying is, study without practice is bullshit. If you're reading all of this stuff or you're taking in this stuff that I'm giving you about the 7 principles of the Hermetica and mind over matter and all these axioms, famous axioms from the wisdom of Tahuti and you don't practice it, take that away and I want to practice this to make it mine. So I know it as well as Jadefre, or even better than him, because I've practiced it. So it's not just something I'm listening to him from him no more. The chosen are those who choose to walk on the path. They don't want to just be seen speaking about shit, just to go on like they be seen to know, oh, he sounds good, or she sounds good, she knows what she talk. They ain't concerned with none of that. Do you understand? They want to master themselves. They're not concerned with mastering you, or mastering the next person, or mastering this girl, or that guy, or this ops, or that person over the street. The only thing they're concerned about is mastering themselves, yeah? To discover their own gifts and use them for their own benefit and for the benefit of self and kind, and ultimately for the benefit of humanity. That's a chosen one. They chose that shit themselves. There weren't no God who floated down and said, you are going to do this, or thou shalt that, or you chose yourself. Do you understand? You chose to walk on that path, not talk on the path. You chose to walk on the path. You chose to study and practice. You go away from this shit and you practice this shit. This ain't just a social media thing where you just want to look good on social media. When you're off social media, if someone can see you, you still taking this shit serious when no one's looking. You still walking on this path and trying to make yourself better. You ain't in a competition with no one as a chosen one. You in a competition with yourself. That's the only competition you're in with anyone. To be better than how you was yesterday, to be more efficient, to be more useful, to be more loving than you was yesterday. That's what we're competing against as chosen ones. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And chosen ones don't choose exhibition. Most chosen ones choose isolation. They do not do this shit for likes or do this shit to be seen. They're not hustling to be seen. They're hustling to disappear. Do you understand what I'm saying? These are chosen ones. They're not into exhibition or no likes or no biggest platform or none of that type of shit. Or also, they don't have to be right. They don't feel like, yo, I need to be right. Or I need to correct this person because this person's wrong. I've scrolled down my timeline and I've seen someone talking about something and I don't agree with it. They don't feel the need to, correct that person. Let that person talk about what they want. Or even if I make a mistake, I don't feel the need to correct myself. Or if somebody's wrong about me, I don't feel the need to correct them. I'm happy to let them be wrong. That's the chosen one's mentality. Do you understand? All of their shit is turned inward. All of their stuff is about how they can be better and how they can be a help to themselves and to others around them. Do you understand? They both study and practice, and that means they continue developing themselves on the path constantly. Yeah, and they treat the ancient ways, the ancient teachings, the ancestral stuff as sacred, just like a Muslim treats his Quran, just like a Christian treats a good Christian treats their Bible, or one of them Jews, Hebrew Israelites treats their Torah stuff and their Israelite stuff. Yeah, they teach the ancient teachings, and I'm not just talking about Egypt. I'm talking about whether it came from ancient Olmecs, whether it came from ancient Kemet, whether it came from ancient Babylon, whether it came from ancient Europe, whether it came from ancient India. They cherish that shit. They see that shit as jewels. That's gold. You understand? That can further help them to develop their self and bring forth their astral body. You understand? They don't just go around debunking stuff based off emotional reactions or sterile beliefs, unproven beliefs. You get me? As volunteers, they will assist any and all beings that are seeking ma'at or seeking truth or seeking clarity. They don't pick and choose who they're going to help. Oh, because of this person, I didn't like this person, so I'm not going to help them. Nah, they don't have none of that kind of shit. They help anyone. I don't care if it's a Mzungu person, I don't care if it's Asian, whoever. They help them because that person is genuinely seeking help. Yeah? And they're in a position to assist them, to help them, yeah, to bring them clarity, yeah. The people who choose themselves, the chosen ones, the Khristed ones, as Dr. Mumbi calls them, yeah, they are living in jihad. When I say jihad, I don't mean what these Mohammedan Muslims mean when they're going Allahu Akbar, blowing shit up and that. Jihad means doing your utmost for the Most High, or your utmost for the universe. You understand? And that's the first step to ma'at. That's what Muslims don't get. They stay with the jihad like that's all you know. That's just the first step into ma'at. Truth, justice, balance, reciprocity, uprightness, all of that. The first step is jihad, which means you do your utmost to walk this path to make yourself better and better every day. You seeking to perfect and to grow and to the transmigration of your soul. That's what a chosen one is about. They're not about all of this hype out here. They're not about all of this attention seeking, attention grabbing, competing with others, none of that type of shit. They're not exhibitionists, yeah? And as I said, they don't identify with their physical self. They identify with the I am, that's it. So therefore, they don't fear death or none of this stuff that physical mortal beings want to fear. Oh, death, man, you only live once, YOLO. And all. They don't fear none of that. Oh, be careful what you say, you know, they're going to come for you. The chosen ones don't care about none of that. They see past death. Death is just the biggest illusion of separation. It's an illusion. Do you understand? And more importantly, and most important, the chosen can unlearn. They can unlearn shit more so than other people. They don't really stay in the emotional reactions and hold on to dead beliefs and outdated beliefs and shit like that. They are the ones that say, okay, you know what, that makes sense, you know. I'm gonna have to adjust my theory, or I'm gonna have to take that on board and like, you know, assimilate it into my understanding of things, because that's given me eyes. Not a lot of people can say that. Some people got too much ego, too much pride to be able to say, fucking hell, I was wrong. And you was right. You know what? You was right. I'm going to have to agree with you. They can unlearn things easier than the religious person or the debunkers and all these other people. Yeah, they don't feel the need to correct others or to always be right. They find to correct themselves and say, you know what, I was wrong. And they find with saying, yo, I don't know. Somebody asks them something and they don't know. They don't make shit up just to sound good or to keep their fucking crowd going. They say, listen, bruv, I don't know. That's the mark of a great teacher. You understand? He's supposed to say when he don't know, fam, I don't know. Whatever you find, you enlighten me. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what I mean when I say the chosen are those who chose themselves. No God, no sitting on no cloud in heaven or nothing chose them. They chose themselves and they walk on the path and they study and they practice what they study. They don't just study and keep it as an idea in their mind and just think about it. Yeah, I'm not knocking people who do that, but I'm saying them people won't become masters at nothing. Them people will stay in that limbo dream world kind of thing and really not go no higher than that, just pondering stuff all the time. But they won't be able to get to master these and these superpowers that we're talking about here. That's where it stops for them. They just gonna talk about it. They just, you understand it? They're not gonna practice that shit that they studying. That moves me on to the rapture. And for that, I'm going to give you a couple verses that I took the time to write down from the Bible just to show you what the Bible says about this rapture stuff, yeah? And I'm going to show you two sides of it. So we should all know that the Christians, the Bible, speaks about how God is going to take away 144,000 people. It doesn't necessarily say 144,000 people in the Bible, yeah? Actually, I think it does. Yeah, it does in Revelation, and it says it would be 12,000 from this tribe, 12,000 from this tribe, 12,000 from whatever tribe. I'll leave the verse on the comments. So it does say that 144,000 people will be saved. They'll just float off into the clouds and disappear one day because God's took them and saved them from what's about to happen on the planet. Yeah. So if we go to the Bible, 1 Thessalonians 14:16, you'll hear them speak about this rapture. But let me read to you 14:17, which is the next verse, which says, "Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air. And so shall we ever be with the Lord." So it says, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. So they're going to be pulled up in the clouds, yeah, to meet this Lord in the air, and they'll be with the Lord forever. This is the 1 Thessalonians 4:17, yeah. 1 Thessalonians 5:2 calls it the day of the Lord. When this shit happens, they calling it, yo, this is peak, it's the day of the Lord, yeah. It also says in Mark 13:32 that only the Most High, Anu, knows the day when that's going to happen. Not even the angels, not even this Jesus character, or no one. They don't know when this shit's going to happen. But Mark 13:32 says only the Most High, the Father, only he knows when this shit's going to happen. Do you understand? And in Daniel 12, these are all different chapters they mention in this same scenario. In Daniel 12, 1-2, Daniel, who was in the lion's den, yeah, it speaks about how the people who endure through this period, yeah, and become the 144,000, or become those who are saved in this rapture, their names will be written in the book of life. They will earn the everlasting life, what the Bible's telling you about everlasting life. Luke 17:34-37 says this: "I tell you, in that night there shall be two men in one bed. The one shall be taken and the other shall be left." So even though that sounds really gay, two men in one bed, I think they're just trying to tell you that out of two people, one will be taken up into the clouds and one won't. The other will be left behind. But that sounds gay as hell, that Luke 17:34-37. And then Revelation 3:10 says this, and I quote, "Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth." That's talking about the great tribulation. The hour of temptation is the great tribulation, yeah? Which comes straight after this rapture. The 144,000, they're not going to be here for this great tribulation. This is what I'm trying to tell you guys. They get taken off the planet and they don't have to go through this madness called the great tribulation. Only the people left back will go through that. You understand? So it's saying that's the hour of temptation, and it has to come upon the earth to try them that dwell upon the earth, okay? This is what we're just getting into now. When I say 2023, we going into this hour of temptation, this great tribulation. Matthew 24, verses 29-31, it says this: "Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken." That's powerful. Why? Because it's saying, look, this is after the tribulation. We know they're trying to block out the sun now. Bill Gates, Bezos, all of these big tech people, yeah? And it says the moon shall not give off her light. So something's going to mess up with the moon. And also when it says, "and the stars shall fall," that can be talking about beings, aliens. They always use the word stars sometimes in place of the word Yahweh. So in the Hebrew, it might be the Yahwehs shall fall from heaven, meaning this demiurge, Greys, Pleiadians, Nordics, all these different group of aliens, what they're calling, hiding with the word stars, shall fall from heaven. And then it says, "and the powers of heaven shall be shaken." So then you should be asking yourself, what are the powers of heaven? Heaven's got powers. It's not talking about God, because God's saying he's going to shake up the powers of heaven. So who are these powers of the heaven? So it makes sense what I'm saying about the stars shall fall from heaven. It's really talking about these aliens, these Yahwehs shall fall from heaven, because they are the powers that are running this realm of heaven, whatever you want to call it. So they're going to be shaken. You understand? This great day of tribulation is going to shake these people up. Yeah. Also, we should know that during the time of these 144 chosen ones, those who chose themselves, a great liar is going to rise up on the earth, calling himself the son of perdition, or who we know in scripture as the Antichrist, or who Muslims know in their Islamic hadith and tradition as Al-Dajjal or Masih al-Dajjal, yeah? The one-eyed liar or the great liar. Yeah, this Dajjal represents devil, Satan in the flesh, walking around as a human being. So you see him depicted in certain movies in Hollywood, like The Omen and Rosemary's Baby and certain other one type fucking them type movies. But he represents the beast or the Alpha Draconians, the Satan, the real Alpha Draconian Satan. This is his man on earth to sell us this Messiah, Messianic, Jesus, save the world kind of shit. They playing into that with this Dajjal. And a lot of people will take this Antichrist to be Christ. They'll say, nah, Jedefra, you're wrong. This guy's the Christ, mate. I'm following him. He's done these miracles. He saved my life or whatever. They 2/3 of the planet will fall for this dude. And they'll be gassed off of this Jesus shit, telling us that this guy, Jesus, is second coming. This devil in flesh. That's why it warns you about him. Let's check out Revelation 20, verses 2-5. And it says, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. So he's talking about the 144,000 who will return to the planet with the real Messiah, and they're going to grab this dragon, this demiurge, the old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, yeah, and bound him up for 1,000 years. And notice how it says the devil and Satan, and how in our teachings we tell you that the devil's father is the old serpent, Tarnush, and then the son is called Halal or Lucifer. So it's actually two of them. So that's why in Revelation 12, 7-9, it says, and that old serpent was thrown out of heaven. That means there's a new serpent if there's an old one. Otherwise, it would have said the serpent was thrown out of heaven. The fact that it's using the word old is referring to the first galactic war with the Galactic Republic with Tarnush and them. Not now, where we're dealing with his son, who is Halal, who is the leader of the Galactic Republic now, with Mother Hubbard and Enlil and all of them, okay? And then Second Thessalonians 2, 3-7 says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So none of this can go on or pass. This can't play out until we see this devil in the flesh born on the fucking planet and telling us pass. He's already been born since 1966, but what I'm saying, him manifest himself publicly and tell us that he's a messiah and shit. Most of us, the 144 families, we will know that's not no messiah. That's the fucking Antichrist. That's the devil in flesh. Picture Agent Smith. It's going to be like that. He'll be telling everybody he's like the ultimate. He's not going to be one person. He can pop up in all. He's a whole system, and he's a one man. You understand? So they playing off that Dajjal shit, the Antichrist shit, with the character Agent Smith. That's how that's the attributes of the Dajjal. He got ears everywhere, in the one ear in the west, one ear in the east, meaning technology, communication, satellite. He can hear everywhere. Do you understand? His feet are on the ground, but his head's in the clouds, satellites and stuff. They give you all that stuff in Islamic hadith and tradition and try and spook you out and mystify you. But if you got the right lens, that just means, okay, so they're using technology and fucking 5G and all of this stuff that we got now. Do you understand? So they play off that when they give you this Agent Smith character in The Matrix, because Sophia Stewart, the mother of The Matrix who wrote them shit, she already knows all this truth. So she encoded that into her shits to try and give us the message. You understand? So the son of perdition being called the person being called the son of perdition in the Second Thessalonians 2, 3-7 is none other than the Antichrist. We go to the first book of John 2:18. John says this, and he was the closest person to the real Joshua. John says, little children, it is the last time as ye have heard that the Antichrist shall come. Even now there are many antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. So that's the first book of John 2:18, chapter 2, verse 18. And he's saying, yo, we know it's the last days because there's all these antichrists on earth. You understand? And he's saying there's going to be a last one, where I've been telling people, yo, there's more than one antichrist. You know, there's been 30. Napoleon was one. Adolf Hitler was one. Richard Nixon was one. Who else was one? Karl Marx was one. There's a whole heap of these niggas, yeah? I've got a list of them in Today is Tomorrow's Yesterday, the new book coming out. All 30 of them. And then the last one will be so dread that they ain't even named him. They just said, yo, this bastard last one is the Antichrist. We just call him the Antichrist. He's peak, he's serious. And he was born in 1966 and given the name Damien. Yeah, and the Pope and all of them attended this birth ceremony, this devil baby. And they give you the story in the film Rosemary's Baby, and they give you the story part of it in The Omen. Yeah, but they kind of like just Hollywooded that out. It's the story's more correct if you watch Rosemary's Baby. Like when you see the Pope turning up in the start and watching the birth, which was John Paul at that time. They all went to this big ceremony. Anton Levy out of the Church of Satan and all them geezers, that's his son. He's the one who had sex with the Jacqueline Kennedy for them to produce this Antichrist child. I'm telling you all this because this links in. And for you Muslims out there that like to watch these lives and don't say nothing, and then as soon as we start posting our culture and stuff, you want to make these claims that, oh, that's fake, that Egyptian religion. Y'all don't know fuck all about Egypt. You can't even tell me nothing about Egypt. The only thing you guys know about Egypt is what your imam told your ass in your khutbahs. You get me? So you want to take it there, you Muslims in your hadith, 104 Bukhari, chapter 30, the virtues of Medina, narrated by Abu Huraira. They say, yeah, and this is just to make a mention of it, yeah, that in the time of the Dajjal, he won't be able to enter Medina because Medina is so special, yeah. He won't be able to enter Medina, and no plague or Dajjal will be able to enter Medina. So, Mr. Muslim, was Arabia not shut down for coronavirus too? If no plague can enter Medina because Allah says no plague or no Dajjal, why didn't he keep that energy when Corona came? How come Arabia was locked down too? Niggas weren't going on Hajj when this Corona lockdown thing was going on. You was just as shut down as the fucking Vatican. The virus was in Arabia, it was in Medina, it was in Mecca, it was in every fucking place in Arabia, just like it was in Israel or any church or whatever. So all this bullshit that y'all keep giving, like I said, you guys are gonna have to discern for yourself. I'm not telling you to read everything in the scriptures and take it literally. I'm telling you, you're going to have to vibrate high enough to have the right lens to be able to pick out, okay, well, that's bullshit. Yo, okay, well, I can see the truth in this. And not everybody will be able to do that. We're not all resonating at high enough frequency to discern those types of truth. But some of us, especially some of you that watch me regularly, you definitely are. Now, lastly on this Dajjal thing, let me tell you this from Revelation 14 to 20, I'm going to quote. It says, I looked, and there before me was a white cloud, and seated on the cloud was one like a son of man, with a crown of gold on his head, and a sharp sickle in his hand. Then another angel came out of the temple, and called in a loud voice to him who was sitting on the cloud. He said, take your sickle and reap, because the time to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. So he who was seated on the cloud swung his sickle over the earth, and the earth was harvested. 17. Another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. Still another angel who had charge of the fire came from the altar and called in a loud voice to him who had the sharp sickle. Take your sickle and gather the clusters of grapes from the earth's vines, because its grapes are ripe. The angel swung his sickle on the earth and gathered its grapes and throwed them in the great winepress of God's wrath. They were trampled in the winepress outside the city, and blood flowed out the press. This is the Bible, yeah? Revelation 14, chapter 14, verse 14 to 20. Blood flowed out of the press, rising as high as the horse's bridle for a distance of 1,600 strides, yeah? Or strada. So what this is saying here, some beings are going to appear in a white cloud. These many clouds have got UFOs inside them. And there's a being who looks like a man. It's a man. It's a humanoid. He looks like a son of man with a crown of gold on his head and a sharp sickle. Now, if you know anything about Enki and the and Bible stuff, Enki is tied in with the angel of death, who comes and takes people's soul as one of the chief Anunnaki on the project to build man in the first place. So he's left with the job of taking man's soul when it comes to man's death. In the fourth plane dimension, every dead soul is going to pass through and have to go and see Enki. Do you understand? So when you're talking about the sickle, that's linked with the angel of death, which tells me that's Enki. Yeah, then another angel came out of the temple and called in a loud voice to him who was sitting on the cloud, take your sickle and reap, because it's time to reap. Firstly, I want to tell you, there's two mirrors in this great harvest. One mirror is the good gods coming and taking me, you, other people, families and children as the 144,000 as we've been speaking about. On the other side of the mirror, you got reptilians, alpha draconians, who are like, yo, this shit's fucking hit the fan. We've lost. Yeah, it's all going to go pear-shaped. Let's eat. and they're going to take a certain group of people to nyam them or to have them as sex slaves on other planets or whatever they want to do. So you, like I said, with the Anunnaki's got two agendas. It's the same throughout these scriptures. If you're talking about the rapture, then the rapture's got two agendas. There's an agenda that's good and there's an agenda that's evil. So here it's showing you both. They're showing you that the earth is ripe, we're going to reap. So he who was seated on the cloud swung his sickle over the earth and the earth was harvested. Then it shows you another, that was 16. 17 says, another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. Still another angel of death, yeah? And then another angel who had charge of fire. He had some kind of control over fire. And he called in a loud voice, take your sickle and gather the grapes, clusters of grapes on the earth. So bare people. This sounds like a reptilian thing. Now this is the evil side of it, because its grapes are ripe, yeah? It's time to harvest. The angel swung his sickle on the earth, gathered its grapes, and threw them into a great winepress of God's wrath. That means God was pissed with these people. That means these people are in the wrong. They got through in this winepress of God's wrath, which is metaphor for, yo, these people are going to get nyammed up. Yeah, they were trampled in the winepress outside the city, and blood flowed out the winepress. Yeah, so they had a bad ending. Yeah, and this blood rose as high as the horse's bridle. That's how much blood was spilled. How much niggas, these reptilians, these archons are going to be nyamming up. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the rapture, the great harvest, has two agendas when you're talking about it. There's the Anunnaki side, the Riskians who are coming for their people to prepare us to remove this demiurge, and there's these reptilians who are taking the opportunity. Yo, this shit's all falling apart. Let's just snatch up some man, nyam them off, and take them and get off. So there's two agendas happening. And on the reptilian side of the agenda, it's Nana Sin and Tarnush that are running these abductions, and they've been making these abductions since the year 2000. People have been being abducted and taken off planet by these reptilians and eaten, and satanic sex rituals and all that type of shit. And the same goes for since 2000. Rizkians, Dinga, Elohim have been coming here and taking certain people who have reached that stage, who have prepared themselves, and taking them off planet like, yo, you might well come now, you ready. You niggas can jump on the craft and we getting off. You understand? By the year 2030, most families who, children who are supposed to be on them crafts will be on them fucking crafts by 2030. Some people are already going. It's happening yearly. It's been happening since 2000. You understand? But it will speed up more and more till by the time we get to 2030, most of the 144,000 will already be gone. I'm talking about on the good side. And then from 2030 to 2043, you're going to have reptilians coming down here, nyamming people. Well, they're already here, but they're going to be manifesting themselves, nyamming off people. Do you understand? Yeah, and as I said, on our side, when we're taking people, the children will be used to kickstart a new civilization and a completely new world that's just been built for that purpose, to start a new world. Yeah, this planet, after going through its 1,000 years of peace and stuff, while it's doing that, will become once again a type 2 civilization, which is interplanetary with a space economy. It will no longer be this war economy where everybody's on the space race and nuclear weapons and fucking bomb here and in reactors, and all that will be gone. All that politics and war and army economy that we have now. We have a war-based economy that's based on war and debt. That's going. That has to be swept off the earth. And because they're trying so hard to hold on to it, it seems a bit difficult right now. It seems a bit weird. They even turned that machine on today. Shout out to Peter for reminding me. As soon as they turned it on at 4 o'clock, he said it's at the power of 13.6 whatever, which means it's at the most powerful velocity they've ever turned that shit up to. They turned that shit back on today. That's CERN, the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider. So all this is going on now and converging on a certain point. That point is Armageddon or World War III. That includes the rapture, that includes the two agendas, and also includes stars of this particular part of the story, who is the 144,000 who's minding your children's, bro. So we have to do our utmost to not only be studying the things that I'm saying here, but to be practicing that shit, to be putting that into our life, to be putting that into our children's life, so it actively becomes a part of us now. It's not just something we listen to somebody else speak about and we don't know how to articulate it or practice it for ourselves. The practicing of this shit is just as important as you studying it and speaking about it on social media. If you don't make time to practice the shit, you ain't coming where we trying to go. Do you understand? You staying in this realm. It's as simple as that. Yeah, this is not for everyone, this type of information. Neither does it want to be for everyone. This is for people who choose themselves, who make themselves worthy for it. If it was easy, every fucker would do it. You understand what I'm saying? We'd all be walking around here with magic powers and shit. But it's this way for a reason. Because 9 out of 10 people, they can't walk that path. They might walk it for a day or two and fall off. They don't have that kind of attention span. They don't have that will. They don't have that determination. They don't have that concentration. You need them three things if you want to practice the Hermetica. You need will, the will to want to do it. You understand? That's the masculine side of your brain. You also need the determination to, yo, I'm staying on this shit, even if it looks like I'm not getting no results right now. I choose to stay on this path until I do see the successes that I want to visualize. You understand? And the third one thing you need is a serious type of concentration. Most of us can't do it because we got ADHD and shit now with all this Instagram and social media and posting here and doing this. Let me flick from this guy to this guy to that guy to that guy to that guy to the process. There's all this information. I'm not practicing nothing. I'm just, yo, it's a waste of time. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, so what we're seeing is the end of the Muzungu, man. The end of his 6,000 year rule. His cosmic contract is up. Everything he's doing now is geared, is coming from genetic survival. He's dying out. And everything, every choice and decision he's making and every action he's doing is to ensure that he survives genetically because he's threatened, bastard. We're on the way out, mate. Our power's gone. We're going to get swept off the earth. Yo, it's panic time. And yo, I'm going to be nasty because I'm pissed. So this fucking entity now is being as, yo, more horrible than it's ever been to us. He don't give a shit. It's reckless. It's not concerned with what me and you think. It's more concerned about its own self. It's saving its ass. Do you get me? And taking you down with it. You understand? So it's the end of the Muzungu and his 6,000 year rule. It's up, man. Everything he's doing is for his own genetic survival. And that's why they've turned like bastard. There's nothing we can do, but let's just give it to this AI. The AI is going to save us. Yeah? But they're going to find out how that AI turn on them Ross. You understand? The AI is going to turn on fuck humans. You understand? Turn on them. But they get all their hopes and dreams. Yo, the only thing we can do now is turn to this AI shit, this quantum computers and consciousness transfer and all this, because we're done. We're done out here. So the chosen are those who choose to walk on the path and not only study and talk about shit, they practice that shit. The shit that I've said to you now, they want to know more. They want to go and find out about that arc, seconds of minute or minutes per arc, whatever the fuck it is. Do you understand? They want to go and dig and probe that shit some more. Yo, they want to get themselves the Kaibali. And now I've heard Jadefre talk about, I want to look at that for myself. I want to have a peek into that shit. You understand what I'm saying? Until they make it theirs. Yeah. So when I'm talking about the chosen ones, they are going to be the resistance. They are going to be the ones. We're going to be here fighting this fucking demiurge. We are the resistance, us, the parents, yeah? While our children are on this prep, while they're being prepped with their senses and stuff, we're going to be out here fighting these demons. We're going to be the resistance, the same ones you see in the movies that's always fighting the bad guys, that's living in caves and fucking fighting, resisting. That's us. So in order to be effective at that shit, you better start practicing this full science, because our ancestors said, yo, this is a full science. It's tried and tested. You don't need to doubt it. You don't need to add anything to it. You don't need to take nothing from it. It's the subjective science, the shit you don't know nothing about, quantum realities and shit. And it's also the objective science, the shit they teach you in school, physics, chemistry, you understand what I'm saying? Biology, yeah? But it's full. The Muzungu only have one side, the objective side. They science ain't even full. You've been given the whole shit. So you can find that mastery and birth your astral self. You've been given emerald tablets. You understand? Most of us don't want to read. We don't want to know how to use these 7 principles in the emerald tablets and link it to the 7 laws in the Kaibalion and craft this beautiful being. We don't want to be that butterfly. That butterfly had to crawl as a caterpillar. It had to go into a cocoon in hard times to come out that beautiful being. Most of us don't want to do it. We don't want to have that transformation because the truth requires change. The truth, to practice it, you're going to have to fucking change. Most people don't want the change, the uncomfortable responsibility of changing. So what they do, they just talk about it. It just remains talk. It just remains on their lips. It don't go no further than that. That's it for them. So don't be one of them people. Choose yourself. Vote on yourself. Bet for yourself. Validate yourself. Back yourself. Because I back myself. I don't need nobody to back me or to believe in what I'm saying. I believe in what the fuck I'm saying. That's enough. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the people who vibrate on my frequency, they're going to find that shit. And I'm not going to claim, oh, I came up with this. Everything I'm telling you is not from. I don't claim what I'm telling you. I'm sharing it with you. Do you understand? Nobody can put a claim on what I'm telling you. It's for all of us. It's not from Jedefre. You understand? It's through Jedefre in your case. Other people got it through some other person or some other way. Do you understand? That's all I wanted to say about the chosen ones. I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah, even Lucifer, bearer of light, going back to the angles and all of that type of stuff. You see what I'm saying? To Lars. Shout out to Lars, Mahogany X, Celestial Samurai, Chanel, Melinda. Yeah, that's all it is. So please choose yourself. You understand? Every day, moment to moment, choose yourself, back yourself. Learn the axioms in the Emerald Tablets and the Kybalion and repeat them to yourself. Tell yourself, yo, all is mine. The universe is mental from the mind of the all. Recite your Nuwabic prayer 3 times a day. Keep reminding yourself, yo, I'm not a fractal. I'm not Jedefre. Jedefre is just one of my tools, one of my avatars, just like Ragnar, just like Sanchez. It's an avatar. You understand? I am. That's it. And I'm having the experience right now, and I love it. The experience is called Sanchez and Pilatus or Jedefre. I'm born in the UK. It's a lovely experience. But that's not you. Do you understand? You're beyond all of that. You're multi-dimensional, immortal energy. You can't be created and you can't die. You've always been. And you're having a beautiful experience, experiencing this in the mind of the all. So with that being said, that's the end of the transmission. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. Peace to all of you guys, yeah? But I felt like I had to do that for you guys today. Because we're going, look, they turned that machine on today. Now is the time to choose yourself. Now is the time to really start going in and practicing these shits, man. And get away from the groups that just want to speak, just want to talk. There's never no action. There's never no practice. There's never no, yo, let's come together and do a meditation or do a practice. It's just all talk. And sometimes less words is better. Sometimes it's better to not say anything. Just, yo, what can I do today to make myself better? Should I do a meditation for half an hour? Should I learn some new Arabic and be able and do a reverent thing to Mother Nature in new Arabic? Yo, start practicing this shit, man. Because a lot of us don't have no substance. We just talking a whole bunch of shit, which is opinions, and we're not practicing none of it to see if it is actually beneficial. And that's the book that I recommend today, along with the Emerald Tablets, simply because they're out here. Okay? With that being said, guys, I love you all. That's the end of the transmission. Namaste. Peace.